The CIA gateway process is these CIA documents that came out that have been unclassified or declassified for years. People can go online and check it out. But basically what these documents show is the power of doing mind and heart coherence meditations focused on specific intentions and how that can expand your consciousness, even affect reality in a very powerful way. So back in the day, what happened is the CIA actually wanted to be able to explore espionage and be able to like spy on different places.
Like see if remote viewing is possible, essentially.
Exactly, like astral projection, remote viewing.
Under Project Stargate, I think it was like a larger project they were just exploring consciousness around, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I didn't go into the detail of like exactly which one it was, but I remember reading the documents and it was showing basically their intention behind doing it. But then what they did is they had a whole entire report of what they learned through going into these remote viewing experiences and going through these basically guided meditation processes for expanding their consciousness. So it's something that revealed more about what reality might be. And it's something that also really expanded their sense of the way reality works and how we can influence it in a very positive or powerful way.
So if I'm understanding correctly, they kind of presumed or just took the notion that reality might be more holographic in nature.
Yes.
And if consciousness could, in theory, travel beyond the body, how could they, for the US Army in the 1980s, when they were studying this, potentially use it for like espionage or all these different things? And there were some very interesting findings and applications through the process of meditation, breath, and sound. And so how did you first hear about it? I'm curious, and what was it like when you started looking into the practices more?
Yeah, it was an interesting process for the way I came across like these tapes in general. Basically what happened is I was starting to grow on YouTube back in 2017. I think I probably had about 100,000 subscribers at the time. Was making consciousness content, talking about spirituality. And then what happened is my mom's dad, her foster dad growing up, which is like, I guess, my grandpa, he was always a very esoteric thinker. He was someone that was always kind of, he had like a spiritual undertone to the things he was into. He was into like Qigong and different type of like ancient practices. And he was always kind of a mysterious role model in my life because I grew up kind of being around him. And I remember seeing Edgar Cayce books that were like laying around the house. I don't know how I remember that, but I remember seeing them laying around when I was growing up. And basically, he was always mysterious to where we never really knew what he did for a living because he would travel hundreds of times a year to some undisclosed place where we never knew what it was. And we just kind of knew that he worked for some organization or some government thing. And then it was kind of like the end of it. And what happened is he retired and he was like in his 70s, and I'm now starting to, you know, get bigger on YouTube, and he found my videos because my mom was so excited about my videos and he started watching them. And that's when my grandpa and I began to connect more. And what happened is he started coming over, and I would see him every couple months. And it was kind of like a spiritual mentor in a way, because he was into this kind of spiritual like dimension of things, and then also kind of like mysterious because we never really knew what he did for a living. Well, I find out through basically interacting with him the last couple of years of his life that he worked for some behind the scenes thing where he saw some, like, I know it sounds kind of abstract the way I'm saying it right now, but he basically saw some things and experienced some things that are beyond what we even thought was like possible or could be connected to like ETs and things like that. It was pretty esoteric, some of it, but he's someone I knew pretty much my entire life. And he told me at a certain, you know, when he was watching my videos, he said, if you were to get these meditation CDs, they would transform your life and expand your consciousness. Because one thing I used to say in my YouTube videos is, my name's Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. I said it in like my first 200 or 300 videos. Well, he was like, if you really want to expand your consciousness, get these meditation CDs from like the 80s called the Gateway Experience, and it will expand your consciousness. So him telling me all this, I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. So I went online and I looked up the Gateway Experience. And at the time, the only way I could find it was used meditation CDs, and they were $350. I was like, at the time they were used. They were $350 meditation CDs. And I was like, oh, I was thinking maybe they'd be like $60 online or something like that. It was like 350 bucks. I'm like, whatever. I trust my grandpa. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So what I did is I ended up getting these CDs, which are basically, there's wave 1 through wave 5. Their gateway experience is broken down into these different waves. And it's not like you get these meditation CDs and then you listen to one and then you're astral projecting the next day. It's a series of meditations that build on themselves to where you go deeper and deeper. So behind like the wave 4 and 5, that's where maybe the potential for remote viewing and astral projection is. But until then, you're doing a lot of different meditative practices, a lot of understanding how to control your focus, your breathing. There's different elements of what's called hemisync technology. Hemisync technology is a certain technology that Robert Monroe, who was the man that developed and patented the process and worked with physicists, and it's a very scientifically backed thing. It's not just like some woo-woo guy that's like, I want to make these meditation CDs. Like, there was a lot of credibility that went behind creating it. And basically, he created these CDs that have a specific process that you go through to basically transform and expand your consciousness. And I started to use these CDs and started to build upon basically, going in order. And there was one that really had a powerful effect on me. It was called repatterning. And the idea behind repatterning is that there's a certain frequency you get through by balancing the left and right hemisphere of the brains and then having the mind and heart coherence, where you get into a certain frequency that then allows you to have more influence over reality. So in the CIA document, what it talked about was how when you were in certain states of consciousness, you had more intention mixed with the elevated emotions that you feel had more influence over the holograms of reality. So if you think about it in the form of an energy field that goes around your body, and if you think about it by creating left, right, brain, and heart coherence by balancing out the hemispheres of the brain and connecting to your heart, it's like that increases the intensity of the thoughts and the energy within your energetic field, which pulls to you different synchronicities, opportunities, and things that are in alignment with that energy. So what it talked about in the gateway experience, and by the way, the gateway experience is what Robert Monroe, who was the man that founded the company of Hemisync and the gateway process, which are a series of meditations for transformation. That's separate than the CIA documents. The CIA documents are just people from the CIA that were using the gateway experience to explore consciousness, to eventually maybe use it to spy on different countries or on with different purposes. And that's their experience of using these meditation CDs. So with that, what I ended up doing is going through and using these meditation CDs, and one of the ones that had the biggest impact on me was the repatterning one, which the idea is you repattern your consciousness. You repattern what you're creating in your life, and you feel it as if it's already happening now. And I began doing that for a month or two in a row. I would do it every single day, and there was a different feeling that would come inside of my body. I started feeling more in an equal connection to what I wanted to create in my life. And that really, I would say, was one of the cornerstones from me going where I was on YouTube with like 100,000 subscribers to things blowing up at a bigger and bigger level. I attribute quite a bit of it to the meditations I was doing, and more specifically to the mind and heart coherence, which I'd learned through that of this gateway experience process.